Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well, and welcome to English 11 on September 16th. It is a Thursday, guys. We've almost made it to the end of the week, and I am so sorry that I'm not able to be there with you guys. I have got to take a day to kind of get my allergies in check. Some of you guys probably heard me yesterday. I was struggling to get through. So I am going to rest up, and I am going to see you guys bright and early on Friday. Now, in my absence, I expect that you are just as productive and respectful as you are every other day of the week. Please be kind to our sub and any other adults that may enter the room. Let's kick things off this morning with a warm-up, and then we'll preview our agenda. We'll go through a few housekeeping items, and then I'm going to cut you guys loose so you can get a whole bunch of work done. All right, so we're going to pick up with our third riddle of the week. This one kind of stumped me a little bit, so let's see what you guys make of it. Let me see if I can scrub through here. Here we go.
Riddle number 3. Let's talk about family now. Imagine a family with 2 mothers, 2 daughters, 1 grandmother, and 1 granddaughter. The question is simple. How many people are in this family? Count them all in 15 seconds.
You could go with the obvious 6, but you know that's not what they're looking for. Who's going to get it right?
The key to cracking this riddle is remembering that one person isn't always only one thing. For example, someone's daughter is also someone else's granddaughter. In this particular family, there are actually 3 members: a grandmother, her daughter, and her granddaughter. Think about it. The grandmother is the mother to her daughter, while her daughter is the mother to her granddaughter. We guess family ties can be really confusing.
Did it stump you? Stumped me. And I really love the lesson in here. That is something that actually applies to exactly what we're working on here in English class. Remember that some things can actually be more than one thing at any given time. Those of you who have actually branched out and begun our exploration of rhetorical appeals and rhetorical devices this week, you're probably starting to get into that gray area where you start to recognize that various aspects of our speeches may be, for example, a really powerful metaphor, which may also be a emotional or pathos-based appeal, right? Because that metaphor is attached to various emotions that help to, motivate us or persuade us through an emotional sort of appeal. So kind of a fun idea to continue thinking about and carry into our lesson time today. All right, so let's take a peek at our agenda. We're going to begin together by revisiting our student progress tracker for Unit 1. We are then going to set personal productivity goals for the day. And then we are going to spend the remainder of our period in our Unit 1 work time. Remember, we are all sharing that same end point, but we're all going to get there via our own paths and our own pacing. So we may be in a variety of different places at this point. We still have some students wrapping up Mastery 1.1. We have plenty of students that are in the thick of their Lesson 4 through 5 video lessons and foundationals. We have students that have pushed ahead to Mastery 1.2. And we have some really impressive students that are just really embracing this self-paced model, and they have pushed all the way ahead to lesson number 6. So I'm really proud of you guys. Lots of great work happening here. As you look around the room, you're going to see everybody in a slightly different place, but remember, we're all making progress forward. Now, with that being said, we remember that we can't linger in this space forever, right? At some point we do have to move on and learn something else. So remember that our deadline for these first 3 mini mastery checks will be next Wednesday, September 22nd. In order to keep at pace and still reserve enough time for that final lesson number 6, our handful of foundationals, and our final mastery check, your goal should be to submit or have already mastered Mini Mastery 1.2 by this coming Sunday. So you have a full work period today, whatever time you choose to put in after school. You have any personal time that you put in after school tomorrow, and then you have the weekend. All right, so lots of time available to you. You want to make sure that you're using time wisely so that you don't find yourself next Wednesday having not met that goal. All right, so let's take a look at our Unit 1 Student Progress Tracker. This is that checklist that I provided to each of you about the first week of our unit, and I explained that this checklist is going to include every single item that we need to complete in the order that we need to complete it. So please go ahead, take that out, set that on your desks. I am going to ask that each of you take a few moments to update your checklist if you haven't been doing that all along. This is going to help you to identify precisely where you are in your Unit 1 lessons. Now, if you're not quite sure, if you have been approved to move on to whatever the next phase is, one great place to look for that information would be your Schoology gradebook, particularly those assignment comments that I leave for you. I often indicate whether you have revisions that still need to be made or whether you are approved to move on to the next step. So I'm going to go ahead and ask that our sub pause our video right now and give everyone an opportunity to quickly update their checklist. Wonderful. Hopefully you've all had an opportunity to do that. And then let's go ahead and revisit some of those important dates and details. Once again, I want to remind all of you that our goal is to have completed mastery checks 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3 by next Wednesday. That's September 22nd. As we know, today is a work day, but I want to remind you that tomorrow class will be fully dedicated to our ACT prep unit that we are working on over the course of the full semester. So we will have no work day tomorrow. So I want you to kind of budget that or include that as you are budgeting your time and the tasks that you have remaining. Now, with those pieces sort of swirling around in your head, I'd like each of you to set a clear productivity goal for today. Now, I'm going to leave this a little open-ended. We have been writing these down on Post-it notes. If you would like to just use a regular piece of scrapbook paper, that is absolutely fine. If you want to go ahead and grab a Post-it note from somewhere in the classroom, that's cool too. But I'd like you to set 2 goals for yourself. What will you complete by the end of class today? And what will you complete by the end of the day? All right. Now, if you would like to add a third productivity goal or perhaps revisit this later in the period once you see how much you've been able to accomplish, you may also want to extend that a little bit more and think about what am I going to complete by the end of the weekend so that when we arrive back here on Monday morning, we are ready to dive right back in to the last few phases of Unit 1. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how we are going to utilize this work time today. We've got some modifications to our workspace assignments. We are going to use all of our classroom desks today for students that are working on their lesson videos and foundationals. Don't forget your headphones, iPad, notebooks out for taking notes. But today we are also going to keep all of our students working on their mastery checks in the classroom. All right, we want to have everybody there. It might feel a little tight at times, but it's going to be okay. Do some nice calming breathing. Be courteous of each other. Be aware of yourself in that physical space. Be aware of your volume so that we do not impede anyone else's progress. The one other space that we are going to utilize today are the 2 lunch tables just outside of my classroom. This is going to be reserved specifically for groups of 2 to 3 students that are working with our rhetorical device sorting mats, our rhetorical appeals sorting cards, or your rhetorical device task cards. Remember, these are different, physical, tangible manipulatives that you have access to reinforce the concepts that we're working on in class. I do ask that you monitor your volume outside of the classroom, because we have Mr. Burns and we have Dr. Rothacker, right, and Ms. Handy right there in the vicinity, so we don't want to become a disturbance to anyone else. Please limit your time outside of the classroom to 30 minutes maximum. All right, if you have made a recent submission, I want to remind you to begin today by checking first for your feedback and then either revising or advancing as needed. As you continue to work and complete assignments, make sure that you are submitting that work to Schoology and then moving on to the next item on your Unit 1 progress tracker. We want to try to continue that forward momentum all the way until the end of the period. We also want to remind you to please, 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 please never ask the question, what do I do if I have nothing to do? It's one of my biggest pet peeves. If you feel that question rising to the surface, please remember that there's always something to do. We have those Unit 4 IXLs that are always there for us to complete. So if you find yourself sort of at an impasse where you've completed as much work as you can before I have to actually approve you for your next mini mastery, I would suggest, why don't you dip into some of those Unit 4 ACT Prep IXLs, and then we will reconvene, put our heads back together on Friday, and figure out what the next step is. All right, please make me proud. I have no doubt that you will. Perhaps more appropriately, make yourselves proud. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.